Welcome to our weekly New Gambia platform or New Gambia Media Talk Show. Today is September 17, 2023. Today we're going to be discussing about the shooting that happens at Sukuta traffic lights. That shooting ended up killing 2 police officers and injured 1 officer. The situation is really getting out of hand in the Gambia. Security forces' lives are at threat. So the open firing was really a disaster, and then we definitely send condolence to the family and the loved ones related to those people. So today we're going to be discussing about the situation that lead to this, and what are the mitigations that could be applied, or the what are the things that need to be done to prevent this in the future. And also, what are the solutions when it comes to security sector reform for the Gambia? So I have my co-host here, Sam Sise. Sam, welcome on board. As usual, we're here to contribute, and Pamela will join us later. We don't have a guest today, but we're gonna definitely speak our opinions and our thoughts, base them on with facts that we know, and explore this situation and see what can be learned from this. So if we choose, we can speak local languages. Sam, if that will help, we can do that. I'm open to that. You guys are open to that. But definitely, this is a topic that is really bothersome to the Gambian populace. Welcome, Sam.
Thank you, Mr. Swan. And before we start, just like you said earlier, we also lost a great leader in New York, Imam. So
Absolutely.
Imam Silla. If you would, we give 1 minute silence in respect for him, and of course, send our condolences to his family. It was a tragic death and very unexpected. So very sad, and the whole community of New York is mourning this. So let's give a 1 minute silence.
Thank you, Sam.
All right. Well, I don't know if you, go ahead if you want to say something about the Imam a little.
Let's just jump into the topic.
Okay.
We've been reading and we've been listening to news. The 2 police officers were shot to death by an unknown person in a vehicle. And later on, they said, according to the authority, somebody by the name of Mr. Bojan, I can't recall his first name, was arrested in somewhere in Casamas, so, right?
Yep.
So that person confessed that he was the one who did the shooting and is in police custody. So it's a lot of things that missing pieces that are related to the story, and still is unclear what is the motive and who are definitely involved, beside that person. And also it is unclear why the gun that was used, where was its origin, how was it purchased, or how was it acquired. So all these are things that we need to look at based on the best of our knowledge. Like I said, this is a security issue. We're not going to go into security system, because that's not our area of expertise. But as a concerned citizen, we are here to explore the facts that we heard on the news, and based on our analysis and our opinions, we will be able to make sense of what is related to this issue. So Sam, what do you think about this shooting? First, we're gonna look at what caused us to be here. We are nations of peace. We are nations of tolerance. We never seen something like this, at least to the best of our knowledge. So, what caused us to be here, and what are we moving? Where are we going from here? And secondly, what is the issue with our, police officers and our folks who, our folks on the street protecting us? What is the issue about them not being armed and all of those things? So let's look into different areas. Welcome, Sam.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Tony. Yeah, this is unfortunate. Also, having a tragic event in Gambia. This is a tragic incident that happened where we lost 2 police officers on duty and a third one in critical condition in the hospital. It's unfortunate and very sad for our country. But, when something like this happens, you always want to take a step back. Everybody needs to take a step back and look at what is the root cause. There are different angles to look at. What is the root cause of this? Why did this happen? Why did this man decide to do this? What is the motive behind it? Is he the only one, or does he have people involved with him? Knowing that he's been captured already and he confessed to the shooting, that makes investigation very easy for the investigators. However, just like you said, we're not going to get into too much detail, because when something is under investigation, everybody just needs to be quiet and stay out of certain things and let the police do their job. So all of those are things that we need to look at. And also at the end of the day, we also need to, not only at the beginning, we look at the root cause, but at the end of the day, we need to look at what is the solution for this. So, you may or may not have seen this, but I released a video that day. I was driving to and from work. I think I released a video and sent it to WhatsApp, and then it went to a lot of different places. I even saw it on TikTok. Somebody posted it there as well. So, but anyway, this is, like I said, it's very unfortunate, and my condolence, or our condolence to the family of the victims, those who lost their lives. And it's very sad, and I realized that they've been buried yesterday and day before yesterday, Friday and Saturday, respectively, we were buried. And the Officer Jallo that's in the hospital, so we wish her all the best and a speedy recovery to get out of this, even though she's a key witness to all of this, since it all happened in her own eyes. But things like this go so quick and so sudden that it's unbelievable. But we wish her all the best and a speedy recovery. Hopefully she can get back and reunite with her family. So getting into the details here, what is the root cause of this? We can look at different things. Anybody can come with their own opinion. We're just going to say our opinion. I think some time ago, a couple of years ago, I recommended and talked about security reform, which the government was going to do anyway. I gave some ideas, and even though I'm not a security personnel, I worked some security before in the past, but not to any certain extent. But I also add my little 2 cents to it. Some of the things that you need to do, because I also said we need to look at some of the people in our security and realign people. And there are some people that need to retire. There are some people that need to be realigned, and things like that. But most importantly, I did recommend it that all security personnel need to be home. We are in the 21st century. If you look at Africa, you look at Gambia, Gambia has adapted and changing with life, and changing with the evolution, changing with what is happening in the world. And this is one change that we did not want to do, but it was very necessary for our security personnel to be armed so that they can protect themselves and then protect the people, because their job is to protect the public. They need to protect our public and our assets, people's lives and their assets. So, but all of this, if you think about it, there has been numerous times a lot of some things happening, incidents happen in the Gambia where police have been called to, but they can't get there because they don't have any vehicles. And the ones that try to get there, they get there with a taxi, but go in with empty-handed. How can you go empty-handed going to apprehend armed robbers? You know, it's not going to work. So I recommend that all of that to be given to the police. They need to be able to protect themselves. They need to have weapons. They need to have vehicles, cars, bicycles, motorcycles. I even recommended horses. They can climb on horses and be riding horses in the big cities, in criminal areas, a densely populated area where crime rate is high. They can be on their horses and while armed, they have their weapons with them and go in partners or in groups to be able to secure and protect themselves and protect people and their assets. You know, I recommended all this. So where does this Bojang came from? I don't know. They said he's from Brooklyn, originally from Fonyi, but settled in Brooklyn and grew up in Brooklyn area. This is unfortunate. Like I said, I don't know much about him. The little I heard is that's the little I heard, that he was in Brooklyn. But so what caused him to do this, I don't know. I have no idea. However, one of the things that I do wanted to say, when something like this happened, especially being history in the country, first time 2 police officers or 3 police officers got shot, 2 of them killed in the line of duty. I think it was very necessary, not just to get a press release from the State House. This was something a president should really come out and at first, I don't know, he may have done this. I did not see any video of the president talking about this, so that doesn't mean he didn't do it. One thing I know is from the news, listening to news that day, I heard that there was some communication from the State House, and the president has put a $1 million reward for whoever can identify this suspect so that he can be captured and things like that when you know, all of that happened. So I heard that, but I think it would have been more and taken seriously if the president himself come out, call the media, and call a press release and press conference, and stand up in media and say this, that this country is going through difficult times with the shooting of 2 police officers that died, and the 3rd one in a critical condition in the hospital, and then said that he is there to put $1 million reward on behalf of the country to be able to capture this person as soon as possible, so we can get him off the street, because he's at that point he was armed and dangerous, and he's in the society. He needed to be captured. Things like that, and also say that he is there to assure the country that this will be promptly investigated, and if they can catch him, he will be prosecuted according to the law, and also state that let's everybody leave the job to the police officers and let the police investigators investigate and come up with result cards for the public, and every update coming should come from the police officers, I mean from the security. Then to my surprise, I saw you know, the president's advisors, or is he an advisor, one of the ministers, Sankare is his name, I think, came out and said some things with allegations, which is not right, which was really wrong. You don't do that. You don't do something like that. I thought these were all the Korean people that was very wrong, and what he said turned out to be false. So in a presidential advisor like that, or a minister like that, should not be coming out saying something like that. I think it should be left to the police, let the police investigate. We should all listen to the police, what the police say, but not different people coming out of the government all saying different things. And the bad thing and the sad thing is contradicting each other. See, if you have one spokesperson that's going to come out, this is a police job. The police should come out and investigate, and police should come out and tell the public, talk to the public, and tell us what they're going to do, and continue to give that debrief people as to what the progress is. We should not be hearing from any minister or anybody else or any advisor about this. It's an incident. It's a tragic incident where police are involved. Everybody should leave this to the police. Let them handle it. Let them do their job. Because otherwise, what they created now is different people talking different things, not saying the same thing, contradicting each other. it makes the public wonder who is telling us the truth. Now we don't, but I personally, I don't believe in anybody. I don't know who is telling the truth. Mr. A says one thing, Mr. B says another one. Mr. C says C comes out and says something different from what A and B said, or they contradict each other. Now, what is the belief? What are people going to believe? These are things that brings those confusion, and that's what they should have avoided. The government should not be involved in doing anything like that. Just leave the work to the police. We have the police. Let them investigate. Let them do the debriefing, and be the only spokespeople about this. That's what I say. So I'm going to stop here and let you come in. Then we'll talk about more of solutions and things like that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I think you nailed the head. You nailed the nail on the head. First, we gotta look at Sankare's accusation. Okay, that is one thing that we need to look at. First, what is the motive behind this? All right, he on and then accuse Brikama Area Council, like, or point finger at Brikama Area Council, stating that this might be an employee there. And those people came and countered that. You gotta get the facts before you speak. That's just the fact.
Yep.
You can't just come and talk about something that you don't know, or you don't have supporting facts. Just like how we are here, we are speaking based on our knowledge, based on the news.
Yep.
And we quoted those people.
Yeah.
It was on, on radio that Sankara said that, they probably even recognized this guy when there was a court case that involved Yankuba Dabo, the chairman. This guy was even there. So all those things are kind of like something that shouldn't come from a government spokesperson.
Yep.
Implementation of, the nation's, government, somebody need to have his facts together. So that was reported, and I don't know where we stand on that. So that's number one issue in this case. You cannot relate things to things that you don't have information on. Secondly, this man was arrested in Yulong in Casamas. I'm not a security personnel, so I cannot say how they trace this man to that. But situations like this, an open firing that kills two security officers and injured one with a vehicle, that needs to be further investigated, whether it's for one person is involved or more. You can't just, that operations like that, what is the motive? You can't just look at people, see them, and then shoot them just because you don't like them. There must be something. Was this man then was facing threats by these police officers? Was this an operation to send a message? Was this an act of terrorism based on what? Anger? We need to know. The Gambia police need to be really, really on top of their game when it comes to investigation. So that leads me to, so that means we need more information before people rush to judgment. We can't just come and say, assume things. We need factual evidence. So that is number two. Number three comes to the point that you mentioned. Our forces need to be equipped. I heard that these people were not armed at all. Somebody who is securing people need to have some type of equipment to protect them. I'm pretty sure if these people were armed, perhaps those people would be shot at. And perhaps even the perpetrator wouldn't even have confidence to come and do this because they know that these people are armed. At least one of the officers will retaliate. So, but they knew they have no weapon. They can take advantage of the situation. So that's why it's important for our forces to be equipped, not only with guns, but also with equipment, like you mentioned. There were instances where stuff will happen. There's no vehicle. You can't even run after these people. There's no communication equipment that are sophisticated to make sure to alert other officers that this is what is happening, so everybody can be, keep their eyes on any kind of suspicious activities. So we need social security reform. When you talk about security reform, I know the president once said that it's not about changing personnel. Well, I disagree to that. Changing personnel is part of security reform, because if the person who are doing the security are not capable enough, they need to be removed, or they don't have a good leadership. So don't put somebody there just because the person has prior experience. No, their experience might be outdated. It might not be needed now. We need fresh ideas, people with the knowledge, and they're able to put that knowledge into practice to be part of the system. So keeping the old folks and recycling them is not a good message. So I disagree with the president on that. However, I agree with him that, building a new police officer that has sophisticated police office, like what he did in Bungo, that has sophisticated equipment, new technologies. I agree. Those are part of security reforms, yeah. And also upgrading equipment, and also having tools that will track suspects and bring them to justice, and equipment and arming the officers. Those are really part of security reform. So it includes both sides. So you cannot just say, changing people is not something that is the security reform. It is. It's part of it. So we are talking about the whole lot, not a piece by piece, Mr. President. So I hope he understands that. Another thing, that, so we need our officers to be having, the tools needed. Because I know we are all families in the Gambia. Officers will not go and shoot their own people because they have equipment, because they have these guns. No, I don't think that's a nation like a nation that could really be involved in those. But at the same time, criminals need to really, be counted in this situation. So I think as of now, we haven't got the whole story, so we cannot speculate what is behind it. But what we can discuss is that the lives of our people, our officers, are important. They are our citizens, they are our families, and if they are putting their life on the line of duty, we need to protect them. So we are urging the government and the Minister of Defense, whoever sector is responsible for this, and the IGP, to really do a good job in having our officers protected, so that they can be able to withstand such attacks. Yeah, but you want to come?
Yeah. So the next part I want to talk about is that security reform. Security reform was part of the coalition agenda back in 2016. That we need to have that reform. President Barrow was supposed to do all of these reforms within 3 years, right? In those days. So as part of their MOU. And here we are, in his, 7th year or so, maybe? Yeah, and we did not have a full security reform. Security reform is very important. It's a reform. When you're doing a reform, you start from top to bottom. I mean, you touch all areas that need to be reformed, and areas that don't need to be reformed, you leave them alone. But at least make some structural and personnel change, but also look at strategic. The structure should be strategic. Where if I look at it, like I once said a couple years ago, there are people in the Army that should not be there right now. There are people in our police force that should not be there. There are people in the SIS that shouldn't be in SIS either. So you gotta look at it. They needed to bring experts, get some experts, security experts, and retire that personnel that really know what's happening. And also people with a lot of experience in security, and especially current security situation, and be able to sit down and analyze Gambia between all of our security personnel, and do restructuring. Restructuring, just like companies do restructuring. Some people are going to move from the Army because they don't fit to be in the Army. Maybe make them security at Social Security office, put them in government buildings to secure those places. They could be, but they may not be fit for the Army. There are people that need to retire. and they're still in the system. They need to retire those people and get them out as part of the security reform and pay them their pension and get them out. Bring some fresh brains up. And first, there are smart and intelligent ones in the lower ranks that need to go up, that need to be able to help sit position. You don't know all of this until you analyze, look at people's capabilities and qualifications to be able to move people around. There may be someone in the police department that should in the police force, like we used to call it CID, Criminal Investigation Department. There are people in there that may need to be in our SIS department, and there are people in the SIS department that really don't fit that purpose. They need to get out of there and then bring them to be police officers and things like that, and vice versa. So there's a lot of restructuring that need to be happening in our drug enforcement office. That need to be reformed too. I mean, all of this is all part of our security. Reform all of that. Once they do that, then as part of the reform, think about what do we need to do? What do we need to do to secure them, to help them accountable? Set some guidelines, set some rules and regulations, provide proper training. They have to have proper training, very important training, especially how to use their weapons, how to use their tools and technology. They have to have guns, they have to have vehicles, they have to have motorcycles, bicycles, horses, dash cameras, body cameras for the police officers. So anytime they come to an encounter with anything, make sure that camera is on so everybody can see live. In the not necessarily everybody, but the police will be able to see the encounter that the police officers have every time they come in contact with people. Every time they stop drivers, they want to question them. It's all on camera so that there's no, if he said this, he said that, nobody can lie because cameras don't lie. Cameras will report exactly what happened. So all of those are things that they need to have. When they have all of that, can you imagine? I said this 3 years ago, at least. Can you imagine if there was dash cams and or body cameras on these two officers that died and the third one? If they had those, we would have seen exactly what was the conversation. What was the confrontation that brought all of this up? Even though the lady officer Jallo that's still in the hospital, and I wish her a speedy recovery to come out, she will be a clear witness to all of this. She won't be able to tell what exactly happened until she got involved. And what she knows about it, she will say that. But cameras would have been the best allies here. They would have. Security team, police officers would have say the Inspector General of Police would have seen the dash camera and see exactly what happened and report based on that, not what anybody else tells you. You should be able to see all of that and see the facts and tell people this is exactly what happened. And that will be nothing but the truth. And this will also prevent anybody else coming out to say something you don't know. So there's a lot of things that need to happen. And as part of that training, when they restructure, as part of that training, there should be a lot of guidelines and coaching to the officers, because we've also seen officers abusing the citizens. Well, their job is to protect the people, not to abuse them. There are people, some of them that come out and be proud to say that, during any demonstration, they want to send tear gas to people. They are proud to do that. They take pride in doing that. That's wrong. That's a bad attitude. That's a wrong mentality. That's a wrong mindset. They need to change their mindset. They are there to control the crowd. They're there to protect the people, to make sure nothing happens to people, to make sure that any demonstration or any protest is done peacefully. Everybody go home the same way, in the same condition they came to that protest. That's the way it should be. That's their job, and not to cause any harm to anybody. But instead, they rely on their weapons that they have to torture our own people, our own citizens, when they should be doing that to the criminals. Go after the criminals and fight the criminals. Don't fight the citizens. That's the way. Don't fight the citizens that are exercising their fundamental and constitutional right. Being out there on the street to protest against something or do a demonstration. So that is their job. They need to really plant that in their mindset and also put strict guidelines around that. Now, any officer that is caught torturing, all right, or maltreating any individual, any innocent person, that officer should be taken off duty should immediately go on administrative leave. They investigate. If he is wrong, they can fire him. That's it. If he's wrong, they can fire him. That's what they need. The police need to set that example as part of their restructuring, because we cannot have officers create that animosity between them and the public. If they do, things like this happen. People see police as their enemies.
But
instead
Sam,
of looking.
Sam.
Yeah.
Problem here is that in our existence in the Gambia, we haven't seen such.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Imagine, so it blew everybody off their brain having to hear something like that.
Yep.
Why are we here in the first place? We are not a nation of this. We have been in existence since independence, 50 something years ago.
Yep. So why are we here? I would say, just like I mentioned earlier, we need to look at the root cause and why did this happen? Things like that. Some of the reasons I can think of.
It didn't happen overnight.
Yeah, it didn't happen overnight. So it's a tension that's been built.
Yeah, science
from a long time ago.
Yeah.
Since think about it, since when Gambia was the president. Think about the paramilitary, the police force, or the security, how they treated people. They built a lot of animosity. People look at security as our enemies. And security look at people as not Gambians that they're going to protect. Instead, they look at some people as the people that they're going to torture just to get them off the street, to satisfy the president. And their job is not to satisfy the president. Their job is to protect the people. So I think security reform, knowing that the coalition team already put that in place, I think that was one of the first things that Barrow should have started. And that way you bring this mindset to the police officer and the people, the public, that are citizens of the country, that we are all the same. These security people are from our families. They are our family members. They are brothers and sisters. Let's treat them with respect. Let's honor them and honor their service, treat them with respect. But on the other hand, you're telling the security personnel, what has passed has passed.
Yes.
What happened had happened. And we've all seen GRRC, what happened there. So we all know what happened. Let's not allow that to happen again. Moving forward, this is where you bring that reconciliation, close that gap. This should never happen again. What happened in the past can never happen again. You got to plant that in their head. If anybody is caught torturing your fellow citizens for no reason, you will never work for the security force anymore. You've got to put strict guidelines and bring the margin and get the public and the public and the security team to work together. Because when a crime happens, that's what happens, helps in security. Right?
Community policing.
Yeah. When crime happens, the community is what helps the security find the evidence, find the people, give them information. Now, if those two cannot see eye to eye, their work is going to be very difficult. You see, so all of that gap needed to be bridged right from the beginning, so that we restructure our security team, so we refocus them, so that they know what they're there, not to, again, not to torture people, not to cause any harm to people, but help protect people's lives and their property. So it needed to start there. That's what did not happen. It didn't happen. The tension continued to build and build and build. If you think about it, I won't say every demonstration, but most of the time there is a protest in Gambia, there's always going to be violence somehow, or somebody is either going to get arrested, or the police are going to send tear gas to people. They're going to tear gas people for no reason. Look at what happened, Operation 3 Years, Brikama, things that happen in Serakunda. So you see all that, the police need to know that that's not their job. They don't do that to the people. Don't do that to your own people, So that should have been something that should have been communicated a long time ago as part of security reform. Moving forward, closing the gap between security team and the citizens of the country, and then move on. If we had done that from the beginning, that strong animosity will not be between security teams.
So that's one thing. Something, the relationship. But why I'm not too much focusing on that is because Gambia, we we know each other. We are like families, okay?
Yeah.
We all came from, the same background. We don't know each other. So to have, these officers relate to us is very easy.
Yeah.
That is not something that I will really, really sweat too much. But what I'm saying, why this person has this weapon? What is
that's the part
not everybody should be able to own a weapon. Where does he get this weapon from? Which weapon was used?
Yep. And that's the part I wanted to leave to the investigators, because they will come up with that. They will normally, anytime there's a murder, especially
if we don't get to the bottom of that,
they are going to.
You and I, not only police officers, but even you and I will be very insecure walking in the street of the Gambia.
Exactly.
How about tourists?
The tourists too. Yeah. So
in Bundu, when he was inaugurating that police officer saying that, Gambians who are in media are saying things, they need to start to saying things nice, or say it in a nice way instead of scaring the tourists. Because if we always put the ugly things out there, we are hurting ourselves. But again, the fact of the matter is, why would somebody be carrying that kind of weapon? And how how can somebody explain? Because Gambia, you shouldn't be owning a weapon unless and until there's a need for it, and you have a license. And it's not like in the US here, where you can go through the back door and purchase weapons. The weapons all over the streets, like that's different. Because here, a gun is, as long as you get it in a legal way, it's a bear to arm. It's one of their constitutional rights.
Yeah.
We can understand that, but Gambia has nothing like that. Why is this weapon floating in somebody's hand to the point that you can come and open fire? So this is scary. Yeah. It's not only scary to us, but it's scary to us. Yeah. So we need to get to the bottom of this. How does it really pan out?
Well, that
about the relationship between the police and the people. But I'm not too much focusing on that, because I know we're Gambians. Your brother is in the security force. My brother is in there. My sister's in there. So we would always talk that out. But the fact of the matter is, why the weapon flowing in one hands, and the people.
So here are two things. The reason why we need to talk about what I just said between the interpersonal relationship between the police and the citizens is because history has shown that there has not been a very good relation. Every time there's a protest or something, the citizens suffer. That's what we've seen. Citizens suffer. So, right. And that continue to happen even up to the most recent. So that needs to be talked about so that we can close that gap. Yeah. Now, the part that you're saying,
I understand that is politically. There's a political reason why anytime the citizens protest, there is a police.
That's why I said that needs to be closed. That needs to be stopped.
Yeah, and the citizens are seeing that those police are working for the government that is doing something. That is
exactly. Yeah, that's why when that foundation is set from the beginning as part of the security reform, then the security personnel will know that they're there for the people, not for the government. That's the mindset they didn't have. Now, going back to what you just said about the weapon, I didn't want to elaborate too much on that, but yes, you're right. It needs to be investigated, and I know that will be in any case, in anywhere in the world that I know of. Anytime there's a murder, the murder weapon becomes a question. It's always going to be investigated. Who is this guy? Where did he get this gun from? What kind of make and model is this gun? When did he purchase it? Did he ever have a license for it? All of those questions were the things that the police will answer. So that's why I didn't want to get into that. They will answer all of that. And the other thing on top of it is, anytime there's a murder, there is a difference. There is a difference between a premeditated murder and a regular murder, which is like what they call it, third degree or second degree murder or something like that. Yeah. So a premeditated. This was a premeditated murder, because the reason I said that is, a premeditated murder is a murder where I'm not a judge here or lawyer or anything, but it's common sense. It's very simple. When you say premeditated, it means
Yeah,
you
it was calculated before.
someone that calculated, sat down, thought about it. I'm going to take a gun and I'm going to go out. If these people attack me or say anything, I'm going to shoot and kill them. So that was premeditated. And that's completely different from somebody was shot in the line of fire, or something happened, somebody was killed in between, but it was not meant for that person. The wrong person got hit. It was a murder. That is not the person that was intended to be killed. So things like there is a difference between the two. So this was a premeditated murder. He calculated, he sat down and thought about it. He decided he's going to go out differently. When I say differently, he's not going to go out like every Gambian, like you and I, we can walk in Gambia, not even a knife in our pocket, right? He decided he's going to carry a gun with him. And when he carried a gun with him and he went and found the officers, so what happened there is what I don't know. What caused him to get into this issue to a point, whether it's a confrontation or anything, what would cause him to think about getting the weapon and shooting and killing people? Not only shooting one person, but two, and then three. So he had the intention to kill all of them. The lady was just happened to be lucky. But he had the intention to kill them by getting the weapon and going after them, knowing that the weapon is loaded. So this is a premeditated murder. That's why we need to leave it to the police to investigate and get all the details. And government officials need to get out of this. Just stay out of it. Let the police do their job. We just need to let the police do their job. And everybody shut up and wait for the police to come up with their investigative report. That's what needs to happen. Once they get to the bottom of it, they do their investigation. I mean, this is, police know what they do. I mean, they've been trying to do their investigation. So we should leave it to them to do all their bottom line investigation until they finish the investigation and charge this person, take him and prosecute, get the law to apply on whatever his sentencing is for being the killer of these two officers and the shooter of the third one as well. So all of that will come out of there, and the court will decide on all of that. That's why those are the parts that we need to really let the police do their job.
Right.
But yes, it was a premeditated murder, and murder weapon, how it was acquired, when, all of that need to come out. They need to be able to get all of that information, and the police will do that. They will do that. The question is, are they going to tell the public or not? I don't know if they're going to tell all of us, all of that to the public, but they will know all of that as part of the industry.
I agree with you. I think the AI was on the line, but she probably came out.
Yeah, I saw her came on, and
we hope she can come again. Now, the question here is, Honorable Mai Fati, came to say something about our security forces need to be armed. Ammunitions. As your minister, he understands the threat on the ground. What do you think about that?
What's that?
What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, anybody that says that, I would say that they are thinking the same way I thought 3 years ago. I said this at least 3 years ago. Actually, in 2020, that's about 3 years ago. In 2020, and it may have been even another one before that, because this always things always come to my WhatsApp group for us to talk about it. Police have always been on there. Security reform was one of them that we talked about since after the coalition took over. So back in 2018, 2019, we talked about it. 2020, I released some audios about it. Last year, 2022, also, same thing, I did some audios about it. And all of this is to strengthen our security force, because part of the reason was I've been hearing more armed robbery. They said it in radios, television. Armed robbers went and robbed places, but police were called and police did not get there on time, or police couldn't capture the people. I said, well, how is police going to get them? Number one, they don't have vehicles. Number two, they have no weapons. And you're talking armed robbers. You think you're going to be crazy enough to go with bare hands or with a flashlight in your hand to go after an armed person that's robbing a place? No, nobody's going to risk their life to do that. So we need to equip them. So I talked about this years ago. If Mai Fati came and said that, it is just reiterating what I said in the past. It's something that I know he was a Minister of Interior before. He may have already said this during his time as well, but the government did not do the budget, but it should have been part of the plan because the coalition, like I said, the coalition set their plan for security reform. I don't know what, I mean, that was the name, security reform. What was all involved in it? I don't know, but I gave recommendations as to all the things that really should be in the security reform, and that includes weapons, walkie-talkies, cameras, cars, motorcycles, bicycles.
So thank you, Sam, for that, and then thank you for making those recommendations prior. What I want to say is that Gambia is diverse now. We have many people from other countries, and these people brings things that are addition to our culture. You know, the society is more complicated, complex. All right, we have more financial operations in the Gambia now than before. So that being the case, we're gonna see emerging crimes. So our security is supposed to match to the emerging crimes, and that's why it's important to have these equipments to counter armed robbers, to counter terrorists. So I think what this government needs to do, and I cannot tell them what they need to do, but what they should be considering is
always suggest,
to make sure that they match the what is out, the threat level out there, because if not, people are gonna get away with this kind of operation, and God forbid, anybody could be a victim. So I think, you know, the recommendations are there, but the action wasn't taken. So it is time when it comes to security, and then don't come and say, okay, people talk about security, they don't know what they're doing, they don't know what they're talking about. We're talking about the whole pie, not piecemeals. You know, if it has to cost money, budget it. Because even President Jammeh, when he left office, one thing he warned the cop coming
security.
You can play with everything, but the security of a nation. That should be even the person that you beat on an election. If that person could give you that good advice, I think that person definitely was ready to help you. So security is a key, and don't blame us in the media for saying things. We say what we see. We don't cook anything. If there was no open firing, nobody's gonna be here talking about it. You understand? It happened, that's why we're talking about it. And nobody's saying stuff here that don't exist. That's why we say it. We don't make any misinformation here or create any threats or whatever. People come here to express their opinion as a concerned citizen, to sensitize other citizens, because we are concerned about it. We don't have to be in the Gambia to speak about Gambia. We can speak about the well-being of our people because we are part of them and they are part of us. You can't change that. That's nature. So we are, you know, the government and people in power to take this measure to make sure our people in uniforms are protected by giving them the equipments needed, not needed to counter this kind of operation and to our citizens. So I think, you know, with that, we should be good. What do you have to say?
I mean, that's what I said in my video too. In my video, I said, so that's what I said. That's what I meant by that. You know, security need to be on top of that game. They should be at least one step ahead of the criminals. You say security should always be ahead of the criminals. If criminals are ahead of security, that's bad. And that's what happened in Gambia. Criminals are ahead of security because criminals have vehicles, they have weapons. Our security don't have any of that. So they're behind, they are ahead of security. That's why they're beating us. So, and security should always be at least one step ahead of the criminals. That's how you can.
And one point, Sam, I'm gonna mention here. the National Assembly should look at ways to control gun on the street. Don't just assume that there's no gun in the street and the gun laws, because I mean, Gambia now, I'm telling you, I'm not blaming things on foreigners, but Gambia now is complicated society than before. That the one that you and I know about 30 years ago. So if you don't look into, go back to the drawing board and look at what are the issue in terms of the security threats, because we've seen a lot of robberies, not only armed robberies. People's house have been robbed, and people,
all of that.
remember, guns came to the country and we still didn't know where they went. Remember those?
Yeah, I remember them. Yeah, from those containers. Yeah, yeah. This is the government's.
They went in and out. We don't know whether they stayed somewhere. We don't know. So the National Assembly, they should enact laws and look at gun laws. Because you know why? We need to disarm everything and come with new laws that favors the existing society. Okay, to make sure that our
in the future,
citizens are protected, our officers are. I think this is one thing, because if you say, "Oh, Gambia don't have any guns," "Oh, Gambians are peaceful," guess what? Crazy people, people are getting crazy every day. People are getting mentally sick, and people are getting angry. So they can reach out and do anything. By the time it was done already. So I think the National Assembly should look at gun laws in the Gambia and perhaps make some recommendation if they have to go around and collect illegal guns or whatever is out there, or examine those who have and make sure that they have a proper permit to carry those equipments. And if this gun came from somewhere else, it needs to be traced so that in the future it doesn't happen. So I think that would work. But let's hear your final words, because we are
finally, I think again, the government has a lot of work to do. Still have a lot of work to do in Gambia. With all the things I said in the past years coming up now, up on this platform here, the government does have a lot of work to do, and they need to work on security very quickly. If not, it can only get worse. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. So we need to take strict measures by arming our security, doing a complete security reform, not just arming the ones there. There are some there that they should not have a gun. I mean, there are some in the security force that shouldn't have guns. So they need to go through the vetting process to make sure they get the right people in the right positions, reform the entire security, and arm our police to be able to fight criminals and give them all the tools and technology they need, including cameras, weapons, walkie-talkies, so things can happen. Can you imagine if like I said earlier, if these 3 officers that were shot, if they all had weapons and they also had body cameras and walkie-talkies? I mean, this person, the shooter, would not have even crossed the customers, because on the walkie-talkie, the lady would have been the one that says, that the one that survived would have said, we've been shot by so-and-so, and be able to send that message, and then boom, then the word is out in all police stations. Everybody will be looking at the person, the vehicle and accomplices, everything. But anyway, at the end of the day, the government has a lot of work to do. And I want to remind the government one thing. Yes, it is true that social media come out and talk about things about, the government, like they said. And here's what they need to differentiate. People elected them to put them in position to rule our country. As part of ruling our country, there are expectations. Once you meet those expectations, nobody needs to talk about it, because that's what you're there for, right? Nobody needs to talk about, yes, you provided this, you provided it. We don't need to talk about that. If you go above and beyond and bring something that people didn't expect, that's when people say, wow, they say about it. Now, if you don't do that, and we see things happening, people are going to report that. Guns came to the country in containers. Nobody knows, well, we don't know where the containers, those guns are now, he said. Cocaine came in, drugs came in, containers, we don't know where they are, right? Things happen, we don't know what happened. Okay. So social media is going to report exactly what they see. They're not going to report what you're doing well. What you're doing well is what was expected. That's why you're there in the first place. Okay. They're going to, because that's an expectation. So you're doing the expectation is good.
Well,
If you go above and beyond, for example,
they see
yeah.
that if you don't report that, then you are not in support of them.
No. It's in any government in the world. In America here, who congratulates the president for doing a good job of something that's normal within the normal operation? You don't see anybody talking about it because that's what they're there for. That's why people elected them, to do their job. People elected the president. President nominated and selected people to work for him, right? So
see that, and Gambian followers don't see that. What they see is the president did this. Why the president supposed to do this?
Yeah, so I'll give an example.
It's not assembly, but
yeah,
they're supposed to do that. So they use it as a political weapon.
Right. Yeah. But people are going to report what's bad for a country. If we see something that's bad, people are going to talk about it. If we see something that's good, unless it's out of the ordinary, and again, unless it's above. And for example, if this government, I'll give you a perfect example where people will say, wow, if this government can control their budget and all their expenses and come up with a surplus budget at the end of the year, they said the government budgeted $9 billion balances for all of our operating expenses.
Right.
But we only spend $1 billion. We have a surplus of $3 billion. People are going to say, wow, that is awesome. People are going to say that everywhere you go in the world, right? That is because that's above and beyond what we expected. Those are things that will make people wow, but not what we don't expect. What we don't expect is things like you and I mentioned, the guns, the drugs, the criminal activity, the government officials getting involved in arresting individuals, citizens that are exercising their rights. These are all bad things. The government putting $1,000 and now it's $1,200 tax at the airport, and that has never happened before. Now we have the security tax that stopped tourists from coming. People are going to say it. When things like that happen, people are going to say, because the tourists themselves know that when they fly to America, when they fly to UK, they fly anywhere in the world, they don't pay any additional tax. All taxes are paid through the airline. That's it. They don't pay anything else. Nobody collects any money from them when they land, and nobody collects any money from them when they depart. So those are things that people don't talk about because it's unusual. Those are things that are not expected. So that's why the media talks about the bad things that happen and not talk about the good things. Good things are expectations. And those expectations, unless
Yes,
they go above and beyond that expectation.
I guess this government is always hungry.
Yeah, so that's what they need to know.
Clapping and some.
If we see the government, for example, like I also once mentioned,
we do clap for the Barro's government when they do good things. And some people,
when they go above and beyond and do something, we all commend them.
Even think that we probably supporting Barro's government, but it's not like that. Maybe some UDP folks will think like that, or maybe some from Mamakande folks. But it's not about that. And some
it's not about that.
Again, sometimes Barrow people would think like, oh man, these people are getting too hard on us, they should, they should give us credit. It's not about that. It's about what is out there. We are here. We are here to think about it to the best of our knowledge. We don't make speculations here. We don't go and collect news and lie, on things that don't exist. If we talk about it, everybody hears, and we use our common sense, our logics to analyze it and make sense out of it for the citizens to again.
When we see the paramilitary approaching people protesting, which is their fundamental and constitutional right, they are protesting and they got there, and since they start sending tear gas on them, what are we going to say? The media is going to show that on television, and they're going to show that on social media for the whole world to see what is happening, and that will be the truth. Nobody can say, you see one paramilitary really beating a person, really hardy. I mean, some are beating, some are kicking, some are pulling and pushing and doing all kinds of things for an individual. All right. People are going to show that on social media because it's not expected. They're supposed to be protecting those people, not the whole, even if that person did something wrong. Just arrest him, put him in handcuffs, hand him to the police. Let him go be investigated. Do not torture him there. So nobody can change that story and say, well, the beating and hitting of that person is okay. No one is going to say it's okay. The government didn't do anything wrong or military didn't do anything. People are going to say exactly what cameras show. Cameras don't lie. So whatever cameras show, that's what's going to go viral. So if the government does not want anything bad to go viral, don't let the camera see it. And not only don't let the camera see, just don't do it. Just be right.
Just do the right thing. Right. Watching. Do the right thing.
Just do the right thing. Just do the right thing. If they do the right thing and all the security forces do the right thing, nothing bad is going to be out.
That's true.
People are going to see the right thing happen. So that's what it is. At the end of the day, again, we have a lot of work to do in Gambia. Our security reform is way overdue. Need to happen rapidly and as soon as possible, so that our security people are protected. They are given weapons and tools and technology. Like I said, I'll repeat this: they need cars, they need motorcycles, they need cycles, bicycles, they need horses, they need guns and walkie-talkies and cameras. They need all of that and proper training on how to use those and when to use them. Very important. They have those, they will be protected so they can protect them. They should not abuse their power. They should not abuse their power on citizens. That also is not acceptable. And I'll tell every Gambian, anytime any security officer abuse their power and maltreat you that way, take them to court. Set an example. Let that person be fired. Let him go face prison time, whatever it is. So we need the right thing to happen. I just want to follow the truth, nothing but the truth. Let's do the right thing. Everybody does the right thing, then we should be fine. And no one should worry about it.
Thank you. To end up, we're gonna thank our viewers. Again, this platform is to discuss things that are happening in our country and beyond the Gambia that affects our social lives, political lives, economical lives, and humanity in general. So we thank those who are watching and who's going to be watching later. I know it's an hour program, and put your comments, share, and also and also contribute. If you want to send any message, just type it on the chat and we will address that. But definitely, somebody said security system needs to be reformed all over. So that was something that
the absolutely what we talked about. Yeah.
Thank that person Samuel for making that comment. And also we want to send our condolence again to the family of the people who lost their life, and also we want to pray for the officer that was injured, for recovery, for speedy recovery. We thank the president for the gesture to assist that family and also assist those families who lost their lives. And we want to also send our condolence to our families of our imam here in New York who lost on Thursday, Imam Silla. He was a community leader. He was a father. He was an uncle, a close friend, and he was here for everybody. If you live in the New York City area in the Bronx, you will know this man. This man leaves all his work and dedicated to the well-being of families. Either the relationship is having a turbulent, this man will show up if you call him. Either you have a naming ceremony, you need elders to come and then to pray, this man will be there. Either you would you have an event, community event that brings people together, this Imam Silla will be there. It cannot be replaced, at least in the Bronx here. I have to say that because I know him personally. He's the one who even lead my wedding, and he was there with the families to make sure that everything went through here in New York. So I know him personally, and I know what he was doing to the community, and we want to pray for him, for Allah to give him Jannatul Firdausi, and also give him highest place in Jannah for all the work that he did and to bless his family that he left behind with the support, definitely. But Imam Silla would be missed. And I have to definitely send my special condolence to the family and the loved ones for the loss of him. And again, we pray for the officers also for the same thing, you know, God give them Jannatu Firdausi, and then, you know, forgive their sins, have mercy on them, and the officer also that is recovering. Sam, thank you.
Yeah. May Allah forgive all their sins and grant them a highest place in Jannah, and have mercy on them. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.